G'day cobbers, welcome back to the bush. Actually, my front yard again today. Now here we are with Kahler's 80 series and we got a bit of fault diagnosis on it. The thing's overheating, but it's only overheating under certain circumstances, and that is we're on the freeway under load on warm days. So what's the telltale signs? Well, firstly, it's getting a bit warm, but it's not actually registering on the gauge, but the aircon's cutting out. Now that's the first thing the engine does in order to protect itself. Even though it's a simplistic, mechanically injected diesel engine, can't get too much simpler than that, it does try and protect itself by cutting out the aircon to reduce that additional load on the engine when it starts heating up. So when it does get even warmer, in excess of 40 degrees, which it has down in Victoria, it starts registering on the gauge. So what Kahler's been doing to mitigate that somewhat is to roll down the window and turn on the heater. You turn on the heater flat out, it provides an additional radiator. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work out how. Now, I have my suspicions. Now, considering this vehicle has just had a water pump and timing belt installation, and now if you haven't seen that video, click the link above. So it's probably not the water pump. We've also had a radiator put in, so it's probably not the radiator either. Along with that, of course, has come top and bottom radiator hoses, so probably not that either. But we're left with a few options, so it could be the thermostat. So let's explain what a thermostat does. A thermostat regulates the temperature in the engine, and it's basically a heat operated valve. When your engine's cold, you want it to warm up as quickly as possible. Now, if your thermostat's locked closed, it's not going to allow the water to flow through the engine and through the radiator and cool down. But if your thermostat's locked open, it's not going to be as much of an issue because the water will flow through the thermostat, but it won't allow your engine to heat up quickly, and that will affect emissions and wear, because most of your wear is done on your engine while the engine's cold. And that's why taxi engines can run for 800,000 kilometres as opposed to the average wear of one of those engines, which is about half that. So we need to check the thermostat. We're going to be pulling the thermostat out of this one. We're going to be testing it, and we're also going to be testing the new one as well. And we can do that on a stove with a bit of hot water. So if your thermostat is partially open and stuck, well, it'll still allow the engine to warm up as per normal. But when it gets warm outside, or you put additional load like towing or your air conditioner on the engine, well, then it might start overheating the engine, and that's what we're going to test today. Let's get into it. So I've set the two thermostats up in a water bath here, and I've got my temperature probe here. As you can see, the red out on the left hand side is sitting at 60.7 degrees at the moment. And I'll turn on these. Now, they both should open. This one's rated to 78 degrees and this one's rated to 76 degrees. So we should see them starting to open about then. So I'll turn on the gas. I'll fast forward the vision a little bit and we'll check it out. They both should be well open before 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so as you can see on the thermocouple probe, it's readout over here, we're sitting at a little over 78 degrees now. Remembering that the old one was rated at 76 and the new one's rated at 78. So we should see them starting to open up soon. Okay, so we're now at nearly 85 degrees, and the old thermostat, even though it's rated 2 degrees lower than the new thermostat at 76, I can't see any movement on that one at all, but this one's already starting to open. So the one that's rating at 78 is, we're now sitting at 85 degrees Celsius, and it's starting to open up. I can see a clear line right around the edge, but we'll let it run for a bit and see how we go. See how buggered that old one is. And halfway through testing, of course, the gas bottle run out. So I'll pop in the new one and continue with the testing. Righto, new bottle. Let's get it cranking. Okay, so we've just run over 90 degrees now, and as you can see, the old thermostat is just started to open. I think you can see the clear through the camera there. And well, the new thermostat is well and truly open. It has been open since about 82 or 85 degrees Celsius. So I'm starting to suspect the thermostat was the cause of our overheating issues. We'll run it up to boiling temperature and see how we go. Okay, so we just turned it off at roughly about 100 degrees Celsius. And as you can see, the old thermostat, whilst it is a little bit open, almost reached 100 degrees before it was open. So I'm 99% sure that the old thermostat was the reason that the car was overheating. It didn't look like it on the temperature gauge, but there's a wide hysteresis, so there's a wide range where the needle will sit bang in the centre. The only real way to tell the temperature is actually put an aftermarket gauge in there or put in something like an engine watchdog. Okay, and this one, well, we'll put that back in now and we'll give the car a go. It's going to be 30 degrees today, so we'll turn on the aircon, we'll throw some guys in the car and we'll take it for a spin. Okay, so I'm 99% sure, as I was saying before, I've gone up from 95, that the thermostat's the issue. Now, you have to put the sealant on there. Sometimes they'll just run a gasket around the edge, but this one's actually got a rubber O-ring that runs around the periphery here, and you'll be able to see a little bypass at the top there. So that's primarily to let the air bubbles out. So when you put it back in, now on the 1HZ that's in this car, it mounts like this. So this goes towards the center of the car, this goes towards the outside of the car, and you need to make sure there's dongles at the top, and that's to bleed the air out. So we'll install it now, but I'll save you from watching me get aggravated with the installation, and we'll go to the testing in a minute. So we've reinstalled the thermostat and put all the associated bits and pieces back together. Now it's time to fill it up, which we've done just with plain water, but whilst you're filling it up, you need to put the heater control into the full hot position. Now that's done, we put the car on the driveway, so it's on a little bit of a slope, and now we'll just fill it up. So Kayla, can you start it up, please? And we'll just give it a minute or two at idle to make sure all the air bubbles are out. Now that's done, the only thing left to do is take it for a spin and see if the aircon still works. Okay, so we've got a warm day, as you can see on the left hand side there. I've just turned on the aircon, and we're sitting at nearly 35 degrees inside the cab, and the second one is 12 degrees. That's the aircon inlet up there. So we're now sitting on about 90 kilometres an hour or so, and we're up to temperature, and we'll give it a go and see if we can make it overheat. So we're sitting on about 100 kilometres an hour. The temperature gauge, you can see that there, is starting to march up, and the aircon is starting to warm up. So that means the aircon's cut out, and we're still suffering from overheating problems. No! Anyway, alright, well, that'll be a two-part series for this one. Guys, if you like this video, don't forget to give it the old thumbs up. If you didn't, by all means, give it a thumbs down. Twice. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Recording now, though.